My name is K. Matthew Dames. I am the interim dean and university librarian at Syracuse University Libraries, and welcome to the rededication of the Carnegie Library Reading Room. We have a lot of friends here, and this is really a very joyous occasion. Thank you to our special guests, Chancellor Kent Syverud, Dr. Ruth Chen, and Vice Chancellor Eric Spina. This journey that you are witnessing here today began in May 2011, more than 2 years ago. And as you look at the detail around the room that you're enjoying now, a couple of thoughts have come to mind. So the first thought that came to my mind when I saw this was the Rose Reading Room at New York Public. When you walk into that room, it really takes your breath away. The aura, the feel of it, the environment, it all looks beautiful, and it gives a certain feel that is indescribable. And I had that same feeling when I first saw this room finished in January. This room is dedicated to silent individualized study space, and I just found out that the number of seats, and the orange people in the room will appreciate this, there are 144 seats in this room. We have wireless capacity and power throughout the room, and it's a beautiful space. One of the things that is beautiful about it is the reaction to it amongst current students and alumni. So for example, on Friday, I spoke to Mary Buckley. Mary is a 65 graduate, studied here, and she, like all the other alumni that I spoke to and Kelly spoke to, just raved about the room. They knew and attached to this room as theirs. This is their library. And I also think of people like David Walken. David was, on January 13th, the very first student to enter this room for the purposes of studying. David is a doctoral student at in the education school, and his first reaction was, wow. And so it is a beautiful room for very serious purposes, and I am glad to be a part of this particular ceremony to celebrate it. So without further ado, I will turn the podium over to Chancellor Kent Syverud.
Thank you, Dean Dames, and happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you, whether you're wearing green or not. Today we are rededicating the reading room of the Carnegie Library at Syracuse University, and it's really thanks to so many people that we celebrate the restoration of this truly spectacular space to its original beauty and to its original purpose. That purpose is to be a grand, central public space for students and scholars to study and to research and to learn, surrounded by a fine library collection and by a great university. I'd be really remiss if I didn't particularly thank the donors who provided support for this project. I want to start with 12 schools and colleges at Syracuse University who, through their budgets and in other ways, supported this project. I'd like to thank all the donors who helped with each of these tables, including Carl and Marcy Armani and the Brodsky family, and Garth and Mary Helen Foster, William Gasky, Ruskell King, Bruce and Susan Kigma, Susan McAuliffe, Pamela McLaughlin and her family, Judy and Eric Mower, Eric Sherman, Mel Stith, Jean and Dick Thompson. All these folks have plaques in various ways at the end of tables or recognized in other ways, but we couldn't do it without you. I also want to acknowledge that for those of you still looking for something to do with $2 million, there's an opportunity to name the space. that's in the little handout, and other opportunities to contribute to what is a continuing process of renovating this building. Lots of folks have worked on the renovation project to date, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all they've done. Former Chancellor Nancy Cantor and current Vice Chancellor and Provost Eric Spina for their oversight and pushing this project. Suzanne Thoren, former Dean and University Librarian, and David Stamm, University Librarian Emeritus. All the wonderful library staff who had to live with construction and renovation and help with its planning. T.C. Carrier and Bobby Gwilt, the project managers for the libraries. A whole team of folks from the Office of Campus Planning, Design, and Construction, including Eric Beatty and Jim Bloom and Elaine Matjevich and Brenda Law. The architects for this project, LTL Architects and their principal, David Lewis, and the J.D. Taylor Construction Company. This space was one of more than 2,500 libraries funded by Andrew Carnegie, or Carnegie, I guess is the right pronunciation, Carnegie, excuse me, an industrialist, a philanthropist, who's been the subject of many books that are all in our collection. He gave $150,000 to Syracuse University at the beginning of the 20th century. The great majority of those 2,500 libraries are gone. They were beautiful buildings that became steady casualties of changing times and of deferred maintenance and of tight budgets. All that is left of the Carnegie Library in Ann Arbor, for example, is a stone facade that is now attached to a University of Michigan dormitory. It would have been a great tragedy if this space too had been lost, and it very realistically could have been. At Syracuse, this space served as our main central space of our main academic library for 65 years, from 1907 to 1972, when the Byrd Library opened. In the years since then, of course, it's been the information resource for the sciences and mathematics and engineering, and also the home of our fine mathematics department. But for decades here, the front door was closed and the space was really on its way to being lost. Until this renovation project, you could not walk up the front steps from Shaw Quadrangle, past the statue of Diana the Huntress, also newly restored, and step directly into this iconic space. On my very first day as Chancellor, on January 13th, 2014, I happened to be walking by this building and I had 10 free minutes, which is truly a miracle made possible only by the fact that the staff did not know how fast I walk. So not knowing any of the history I just described, I happened to sprint up these steps to see what was inside this building. And I walked into this space and my jaw dropped, and I had the same reaction that student you described, Matt, said. I didn't know then that it'd been the first day in more than 30 years that anyone, let alone the chancellor, could experience the library the way it was truly intended. When I walked into this space that first day, I breathed deep and I relaxed, and I said to myself, wow, this is a university. No less than Hendricks Chapel, no less than Setner Auditorium in Krause College, no less than the Carrier Dome. This space defines our home as a great university library space does everywhere. I'm so grateful for the restoration that made this possible. It shows us what a truly beautiful academic space can look like and how lovingly it can be restored. You probably can tell from my saying that I am fond of libraries, that I am fond of grand public spaces, and that I'm fond of library spaces that are actually used by students and faculty to create a living and dynamic university. This is a historic space, but it also has to be a living space where students and faculty want to hang out and work and learn in it. I love that this reading room is surrounded not just by collections, but by faculty offices and classrooms. I hope we will continue to make progress, to have it accompanied by even more of the things that draw our students in from their dorms and from their dining halls and their classrooms. Things like coffee and food and technology and art and even the prospect of occasionally running into faculty and deans and the chancellor in this space. There has been great progress here in all sorts of ways, in technology and lighting and seating. I think we can learn so much from that progress across the way in the Byrd Library itself. All that said, at the end of the day, this is an iconic space for reading, for quiet study, for the hard work of learning at a demanding university. I have little doubt that this space is going to be photographed and admired and experienced by more students and more of our community each year if we continue to manage it right and continue to work on the other spaces in this building that still need help. But for today, let's just celebrate how far we've come, how far you've brought us. I thank you all who have worked so hard in managing Carnegie Library, how so many of you have helped us achieve this giant step forward that this renovation represents. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Chancellor. This concludes the formal part of our reception today. Please join us for refreshments out in the foyer and enjoy the room, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you.